As human beings, we're always challenged, confronted by the enigma of what we are to make of the present and how we are supposed to tether our lives to something that is more meaningful, so meaningful that when we touch this pole of meaning, that our lives are infused with a sense of purpose. An example. This week's Torah portion is called Miketz, and it always coincides with the holiday, the festival of Hanukah. And the rabbis make two very interesting observations about this coincidence. One of them is that the dreams of Pharaoh, which are spoken of in this week's Torah portion, about the starving, gaunt cows devouring the fat ones, and about the parched ears of corn eating up the ones that were full, they point to this as a sign that the weak, the few, overcome the many. Isn't this what we say every Hanukkah? That is, the miracle of Hanukkah was that the paucity of power was able to overcome that which was infinitely stronger than they. And the second thing that they point out, which is perhaps just as compelling, is the Torah reading commences with the word shnatayim, meaning 2 years. And that the rabbis note the word shnatayim can be an anagram. The anagram meaning shenadlik nerot temana yomei mechanukah, that the establishment of the 8 days of Hanukkah is read into that one word, that each one of those letters stands for the first word of that phrase. In both of those instances, we, the reader, are left with, is it so? Could it possibly be that 2,000 years before Hanukkah, that Hanukkah was envisioned at the very beginning, the outset of the book of Genesis, that during the time of Joseph and Pharaoh, that it's possible that Hanukkah was even a thought? Well, we know that there are many people who postulate that everything is foreseen and that God knows everything about to occur, so perhaps God knew in advance that Hanukkah would be happening some 2 millennia after this single event. I don't have an answer. I only have the question, and the question is given over to the listener to determine for him or herself whether it is so. But I do want to add one more thought to this idea. It is another sage, a middle-aged sage, who makes the comment that when Pharaoh reported his dream to his advisors, he said, the cows came up, and then the cows stood next to, and then the cows devoured. What the rabbi makes of those 3 individual phrases from the dream of Pharaoh is that is the progression of events, of how life can grab a hold of us, that it sidles up next to us after it makes an appearance, and then when it seems to live innocuously by us, it begins to overtake us and devour us. Another sage from the Talmud said that's like the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. It first makes an appearance, and when it looks innocuous enough, we invite it into our home, and then after taking up residence in our home, it takes up residence in us. Coming back to the original question about whether Hanukkah was foreseen 2,000 years before the event, I think there's a larger question here. The larger question is all about us. What we see, the reality that we see with our eyes, is always an interpretation. The way that we choose to see life is ultimately who we are. And perhaps the interpretations that we attach to the text are less of a reflection of the text and more of a reflection of us. Which of course begs the question, who are we? And what do we want to be? Where do we want to be as the years continue to progress? Wishing you Shabbat Shalom and a very happy Hanukkah.